Okay, good evening, guys. Today's session will be on OOPS concepts. In Python. Is my okay? Let me share my screen. Okay, so OOPS concepts. So what is OOPS concepts in Python? Like other programming languages, Python is also an object-oriented. OOPS is nothing but object. Yes, exactly. Object-oriented programming language. Okay, so this is very similar, and these features are very similar to uh, other programming like Java, Perl, kind of, or this kind of things, .NET kind of. Okay, it allows us to develop applications using an object-oriented approach. So in Python, we can easily create and use classes and objects. So we can create classes and objects. That's very easy, and we have in previous sessions we have covered this how to create this object and all, right? And an object-oriented programming language paradigm is to design the program using classes and objects. Okay, this is the combination of classes and objects. The object is related to real world entity. Let's say, for an example, pencil, mobile phone, laptop, bench, bottle, uh, kind of real time speakers, these kind of real time objects. The OOPS concepts focuses on writing the reusable code so that you can use the same code again and again for n number of objects. So if you create one code, you can use those code for n number of objects. It is a widespread technique to solve the problem by creating objects. So our main motto is to create will write some script so that that script will be used throughout our program or throughout our script, so that you can create n number of objects by using that script. So there are few major principles of object oriented programming systems, which are uh, let me list you that one by one. First one, class. This is the first one. Second one, object. Yes. Third one, method or function. You can say go function. You can call this as function. Fourth one, inheritance. Next, we have polymorphism. Okay, and we have abstraction. Abstraction, and the next one is encapsulation. So these are the major principles of object-oriented programming language. So we will see one by one in detail. The first one, class. Yes, almost Java, almost. Okay, very hardly 0.001% of difference. That's it. Okay, so OOPS concept is common to most of the programming languages, which supports object and classes paradigm. Okay, uh, so the class can be defined as the collection of objects. A class is nothing but it's a collection of objects, and not only this, it is a logical entity that has some specific attributes and methods. This will have attributes and methods. So what does a class consist? It consists the collection of objects. Not only this, it consists of attributes and methods. For an example, if you have an employee class, uh, let's say you have a employee class, okay. So this employee will have, this class will have, it should contain some. Let's say if you have an employee class, then it should contain an attribute. It should have some attribute and methods. For an example, email ID, uh, email ID, name or age, and salary will be the attributes and methods. So we will have, these are known to be as methods and attributes of this employee class, and this employee is known as the class. Sorry. Okay. So for this, we'll have one example. First, before getting into the example, we'll go with some syntax. Syntax. So we'll use the keyword class to define a class, and next we'll have class name. Next, colon, enter, then you'll have code. That's it. Okay. This is the simple syntax for a class. Like how we have for the method. What is the syntax of the method or function in Python? Hmm. Bracket. Def, right? Def is the mandatory word. Then you'll have the name, open closes, colon, right? That's how the method syntax is. In the similar way, for the class, you will have the class as the keyword, then you will have the this is a mandatory keyword, then you will have the name of the class with a colon, and you will have the code here. Okay. I'll give you example of object, then we'll combinedly for both the class and for the object, we'll have one example. So second one is object. So second one is object. What is an object? As I told you, it is an entity. It is an entity which will have both state and behavior. Okay. It is a logical entity which will have state and behavior. What does the object have? This will have the state as well as the behavior. It may be any real world object, as I said, like the mouse, keyboard, chair, table, or pen, laptop, mobile, bench, speaker, water bottle, anything that can be an object. Those objects will have state and behavior. Okay. See, everything in Python is an object, is an object, and almost everything has attributes and methods. Okay. All functions have a built-in attribute. Most of the all functions have, not most of the all functions have a built-in attribute, that is underscore underscore doc. This is the attribute by default. It is a built-in one. It is called as built-in attribute. Built-in attribute. This doc. So all the functions in Python by default it will have doc attribute as the built-in attribute. And what will it does? It returns the doc string defined in the function source code. So it will returns the doc string. Doc string. It will returns the doc string which is defined in the function source code. Okay. Uh, when we define a function, it needs to create an object to allocate the memory. Okay, very simple. When when we define a function, sorry, define a class. When we define a class, it needs object. It needs an object to allocate memory. Okay, it needs object to allocate memory. Okay, very basic. So whenever we define a class, it needs an object to allocate memory so that you will execute your class. So for this, we'll look this with an example. Let's say classes, objects. Okay, first one, as I told you, how does we'll have one example which will consist of uh, a class and few methods and one object. Okay, it's combination of all. Okay, we'll have an example which will consist class with few methods, attributes, and then objects. Okay, first one, class is the keyword which is used to create a class. So let me take car as an example. Next, I have one method. I'll have one method. Don't let's take a bike as one example. So I'll define. So as I told you, init self function. So this will have self, and here I'm gonna have some uh, mm, arguments. I'll have two arguments for this. Year, year of the model, mm, model, model year, and I'll have color of the bike. Okay, these are the two, and self is the default argument. Okay, next one. So here I'll have, we must use the self along with the self keyword dot model year. Okay, model year is equals to, let's say I cannot use every time model year. I'll go with just year. Okay, next one again, uh, self dot color. So for this I'll go with directly color. Okay, next. So this is my first method. So come out of the loop. Second method, I want to, these are the two argument for this bike, model year and then color. These are the two things I need. These are the attributes. There are two attributes. First one is year, second one is color. So I want to display them. For this I'm gonna have one display or output, or you can say result as the method, and this will have self argument. Then I'm gonna have print those two. What are those two? First one is self dot year. Year is more than enough. Okay, model, directly I can go with year and dot color. Right? Okay. Yeah. See, why do we need a self? In the sense, it is a default argument for a uh, method when you have init uh, method, default method, when it is declared under a class. Okay. And by default, when you take a method directly, just a method directly, you don't need to have self. But if you are declaring a method under a class, it needs. Okay. Got it? Any doubts, Neha? Okay. So these are the two. I'll tell you. I'll tell you. I'll show you that example with and without self, so that you will come to know. Okay. Now I want to access this uh, bike class. Okay. So how do I access? Using the object. First, I'll create one object, that is pulsar. Let's say pulsar as the uh, object one. So here, what is the name of the class? It's bike. Bike. And how many arguments are there? Two arguments. First one, year. What is the year? Let's say 2023 is the year, model year, and the color is going to be red. Okay, this is my first one. So once it is done, this is the object. So with this object, you have passed the values. Okay, but not, you haven't called the print statement yet. Let's say if I run this, it will say okay, year. Okay, okay. So it shows nothing because you just pass the values to this method, but you haven't called this yet. You can use the same object dot or result. That's it. Now year and color will get print. See here, 2023 and red. So let's say I have one more object. Same code. Here we are implementing reusability of the code. We are using the same code, but for the another. Let's go for Duke. Duke is the another object. So it will call again bike. So year will be like 2022 and the color will be black. So Duke is created. I want to print those Duke details. Duke dot, what is the um, output printing method, result. That's it. If I execute this now, see here. So 2022 black. Let's see. I wanna have one more uh, Suzuki. Next, same object. I'm calling again and a year 2021 and the color will be like, let's say uh, yellow. I have I have stored, just I'm printing this year and the color, that's it. Year and color. I'm just calling those values, that's it. With the print statement. Okay. Next, Suzuki dot result. That's it. So again, let me run this. So you get the three outputs. So here you need to, here this is a class, this is a class, and here it's a, these are attribute. The first method, it is a method one which will have two arguments. Next, and here what I did, I have declared one attribute, variable one, and here variable two, and this is the uh, method, method 2, second method for display. Okay, it will display the result. Next, here this will print method to print the output on the console. Okay, next here this is object 1. This is object with a reference calling result method. And here what will do, object 1 what will do, it creates memory for bike class. Okay, same thing here, object 2, same thing. Next here, object 3, same thing guys. Any doubts? I'll explain you one more time. So in this example, we have created the class named bike. Okay, and it has two attributes. Okay, it has two attributes, model name and year. Sorry, model year and color. And we have created a object, that is pulsar. Okay, to access the class attributes. These are the attributes to access this part. To access this part, we have created one object. Using this object, which will allocates memory for these values. Then we have used same object to print the result. And we did this. We have reused the entire code for remaining two objects also. So using once code, we're gonna create n number of. We can use the same code for n number of objects. Okay, here we have seen the method also. Okay, next uh, let's 1 second guys, I got a call. 1 second. చెప్పరా, క్లాస్లో ఉన్నా అందుకని ఎత్తలా. చెప్పు. క్లాస్లో ఉన్నా లే, ఇంకా జరుగుతుంది మధ్యలో. ఇంకా నీ కాల్ వచ్చేసరికి తీసుకుంటట్లా. ఏ ఓరి వాని పని అడ్జస్ట్ అయింది లేరా. వాడు వచ్చేసినాడంట బెంగళూరుకి. ఏమో, వచ్చినాను. ఐప్యాడ్ అవి తీసుకొస్తాను, నాకు ఆ 5000 కొంచెం ఇస్తావా అని. నాకేం రా, నా వస్తువు నాకు ఇచ్చేస్తే నీ డబ్బులు నీకు ఇచ్చేస్తాను లేరా అనుకొని, సరే రా ఇచ్చేస్తాను అని చెప్తే. ఎక్కడున్నాడో తెలియదురా, ఎక్కడున్నాడు ఏం చేస్తా మనకేం తెలియదు. ఫోన్ చేసినాడు, రే నాకు ఒక 5000 కావాలి, నాకు అది వద్దు అవి అని. ఫైన్, నాకు ఇచ్చేస్తే డబ్బులు తీసుకోవంటే సరే అని, అంత సింపుల్. ఒక మాట ఎక్కువ లేదు, ఒక మాట తక్కువ లేదు. అది పరిస్థితి, ఏం చేయలేం. ఈడు పవన్ వేసి నాకే అట్లా. ఎవరిని అడిగినా వేసేస్తారా, ఏమంటే అడగనంతే ఎవరిని పెద్దగా. పెద్దగానికి ఫోన్ చేస్తే వాడే వేసేస్తాడు. ఎందుకంటే ఇంకా నువ్వు కిందనే ఉంటావు కాబట్టి నీకు ఫోన్ చేసిన అంతే. లేదా లైట్. సరే, క్లాస్ అయిపోయిన తర్వాత కాల్ చేస్తానులే. సారీ ఫర్ దట్ డిలే గైస్. ఓకే, సో అప్ టు నౌ డూ యూ హ్యావ్ ఎనీ డౌట్స్? If not, we'll move further for method. Okay, We'll see. We know how to write a method and all those things, but descriptively I want to tell you what is a method. So a method is a function. It is a function. It is a function that associated which is associated with attributes. Sorry, object. Associated with object. Okay, it is a function which is associated with the object. So in Python, a method is not unique to class instances. Any object type can have methods. Any object type, irrespective of object type, you can have methods. Okay, that's the one. And next one is class is done, object is done, method is done, inheritance. Okay, fourth one, inheritance. So, what is an inheritance? Inheritance is the most important aspect of object-oriented programming. So here, this inheritance simulates the real-world concept of inheritance. Let's say, uh, uh, mm, okay, your parents have some property. After them, the whole property will be inherited to, which means transferred to your name, which means acquiring all the properties, all the properties, properties, properties to child. Acquiring all the properties to child is called inheritance. So by using inheritance, we can create a class which uses all the properties and behavior of another class. So here, let's say we have two classes, class A and class B. Class A, class 1, sorry, class A and class B. And what will happens? This will inherit all the properties of class B. Here, A is here A is parent, B is child. This is called inheritance. So here, class A, class B, whatever the properties of class A will be inherited to class B. That is called inheritance. So for an example, let's say this is bike is class 1 class. Let's say we have another class as um, uh, bike 2. So if you want to inherit in bike 2, you haven't added any code. If you want to inherit the bike 1, just you need to do the inheritance paradigm so that all the properties of a bike 1 will be inherited to bike 2 so that you don't need to write the code again. Okay. So the new class is known as the derived class, or you can say child class, and the one whose properties acquired is known as the base class, or you can say parent class. So base class, derived class, or parent class, child class. Okay, so what is the main advantage of this inheritance? Code reusability. So code reusability is the main advantage of inheritance. Okay, for this we'll have one example, very simple example. Okay, before going to example, we'll have the syntax. Okay, sorry. Okay, class is the keyword. Next, we'll have derived class, or you can say parent class. Parent class name. Parent class name. Sorry. Here you will have child class name. Then open and close parenthesis, and here you will have parent class name. Okay, next colon. That's it. You will have the code here. So here, what is saying? It will starts with a class keyword, and here the child class name and open close parenthesis. In this parenthesis, you will gonna have parent class name. If you give like this, all the properties of parent class will be inherited to child class. This is the simple example. I'll give you with an example. Okay, one second. Okay, inheritance. Okay, for this, let's take one simple. You can have uh, you can see multiple inheritance. I'll tell you the concept of multiple inheritance also, so that we'll discuss both. See, let's say this is single inheritance. We can have multiple inheritance also. Multiple inheritance, okay. So here multiple inheritance is nothing but, let's say your parents, which means mom and dad, both will have properties, okay. Let's say your mom has two houses, and your dad has one house with some land, okay, and some shops. So after them, the whole properties of both mom and dad cumulatively will be inherited to, transferred to child, that is to the son or to the daughter, okay, right. So which means there is multiple inheritance, which means more than one class. You are acquiring the properties of more than one class at a time, means more than one parent. A parent in the sense which includes both mom and dad, parent 1 and parent 2, okay. So here the syntax will be class, very similar. This is child class, child class name, open close parenthesis. Here you will have the uh, parent 1 class name, okay. Next, parent 2, that can be, the first one will can be father, second one may be mother, okay. Parent 2 class name. Next, you can have more than this. Let's say you have grandfather's property, okay. Parent 3 class name, okay. Likewise, it may go till n, okay. It may have parent n class name, okay. This is multiple inheritance, okay. Here we will have the code. Any confusions, guys, between understanding between single inheritance to multiple inheritance? Any doubts? So that we'll jump into with an example, okay. Are we good to go to the practical one? Okay, shall we? If, yeah, if you have no confusions between these two, let's get into that. Okay, let's say we have a class parent 1, okay. This is the name of the class, okay. Next, we'll have some functions. Let's say house, okay. In this house, I'm gonna have mm, father's house, okay. Father's house, that's the first one, okay. Now I'll have single. First we'll look into single. Next I'll have one child class. This is child, let's say son, okay. Son is the class, and this son will have, let's say uh, inherited, let's say got as the method. Okay, and he will once he'll get this, he will say, uh, I got the properties, I got the house. Like likewise, it will print. Okay, so here this is parent class. This is parent class, and here it is a child class. So inheritance. So here I need to mention the parent class, that is parent one. That's it. Now this child, this son will have all the properties of parent one. Okay, here I don't need to write this code again here to access. Just what I need to mention the parent class name here as an argument to the uh, child class. Now I want to, if I now next step, if I want to access this, so I'll try to print this father's house from this class, because now this son class has all the properties, acquired all the properties of this parent one into here. Okay, which means now this son class has house method and got method in it. Now, okay, imagine it like now this son class has acquired the house function into here. Okay, now this class has two functions. First one got and second one is house. Okay, let me print this. So to access this, I want to create one object. If I want to access the properties here, if I want to print this, if I want to call this function, so I need to create one object. For this, I'll create one object. Let's say obj as my object. For which class? For this son class. So I'll go with son, and I want to call this method got. Okay, obj dot son. That's it. Okay, sorry, what is the method name? Got, actually, got. If I run this now, it says I got the house. Only this one is printing. If I want to access this method, which is in the parent one, I don't need to create one more object. With the same object, I can go see obj dot house. That's it. Because here I have created an object to the son. I haven't created any object to the parent, right? By using the child class object, I can access the properties of house, because virtually means indirectly this house method is here under son by passing as an argument to child one. This parent one will be passed as an argument to son. See here. Now you will get the father's house also. Right? Any doubts? In previous example, we have created three objects to create this one, right? But here with a single, for every class, if you want to access for every class, you need to create one object. Sorry, separate object. But here you need to, you don't need to create separate. Let's say if you are not giving parent one, then it will not get executed. See here. The first one got, you got the, I got the house. First one got executed. Second one you haven't created. What it says? Attribute error. Son object has no attribute house. It is saying there is no house attribute which is associated to son. So for this, if you want, yeah, generally, I'll go with obj1, obj2 to which class? Parent 1. Okay, parent 1. Now if I call this now, you will get both the outputs. See here. So here you need to create separate objects for separate classes to access the members. right? If you do not have inheritance paradigm. So if you want to print, if you want to access the properties of child, properties of parent through child, you need to go for the inheritance. Just you need to give the parent class name as an argument to the child. See here. Are we good? Or do you have any? So this is single inheritance. Let's go with multiple inheritance. Okay. We'll have another class parent 2. Okay. Parent 2 as the another class. So this will have, let's say, uh, plot. Plot is the, sorry, plot is the name of the function. And this will have, let's say, uh, this is mother's plot property, or you can say property. Okay. So here, if I run this now, there will be no errors, but I'm not getting the, if I'm trying to access with same obj, which one? Plot, right? Plot, I'll get error. I'll get one error because there is no attribute. Son object has no attribute like plot. For this, I need to access this parent also. So I'll pass second parent class name as second argument. So multiple inheritance. So see here. Now with a single object, I can access three of the classes. Sorry, two of the classes by using multiple inheritance. Any doubts, guys? Any doubt? Mm, mm. Yes, exactly. If you have 10 number of parents, you need to give here 10 number of arguments. That's it. The code will get increased, and you need to create. You need to allocate the memory by creating separate object for this separate class. If you have 10 parents, you need to create 10 objects. You need to allocate memory for those 10 classes. Mm. We can have, yes, exactly. What I need to give, let's say, if you have 10 parents, you will have 10 functions, right? Methods, right? You need to give here object 1 dot parent that whatever the properties it will have. In here, this case, we'll have the house and plot as the methods, house and plots, right? Likewise, if you have 10 number of parents, for remaining 8 parents, you will have 8 methods, right? You need to give the those 8 parents uh, methods names along with the reference of the object with the same object obj. Okay, we don't need, because you have created, yes, you are calling the function here, you are calling the function, this is function call. This plot is a function. This house is a function. Got is a function. Methods with the reference of object. Okay, with the reference of object, you are calling the functions. Okay, and you have created that object to the class. Okay, with the help of object, you're gonna call your functions or methods which are in the classes. Why do we need object? To access the methods or attributes or instances which are in the class. That is the reason we need object, so that it will allocate the memory for that particular class. Any doubts, guys? Next one will be, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation. These three concepts we will look in by next session. That's all for today, guys. Tomorrow we'll have another session on abstraction and what are those two: abstraction, polymorphism, and encapsulation. Thank you.